Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. Today is episode 95 of the workshop podcast. And this is the start of something I've wanted to do for a long time. This is going to be a very brief, not real long series on getting started, the bare basics of getting started in preparedness for not a whole hell of a lot of money. I've wanted to put this together, and I'm away for 2 weeks at the spring workshop from Living Free in Tennessee. So I thought, hey, what a better way to do it than now? So over the next 5 episodes, we're going to talk about things like water, food, planning and documentation, first aid, and backup power. We're going to get you there in 2 months for under like $300 spent at big box stores. This is going to be the type of series that you can listen to and learn something, I'm sure, as a seasoned prepper, but more importantly, this will be something you can share with friends and family who maybe are a little bit concerned about all the stuff that's going on right now. And they're like, hey, I just like to take control a little bit of my family's preparedness and self-reliance. So let's dig in. So I want to ask you guys a question to start out with. What are you scared of right now? In the past, it's always been something. It's been Y2K, then it was 9/11, then it was the 2008 bank collapse, then it was Obama getting in office, then it was Trump getting in office, now it's Biden in office, it was COVID, now it's Russia and Ukraine. There's always something going on to get people upset and nervous about their personal security. But let me tell you something. Fear is never a good long-term motivator. A lot of people became preppers or preparedness minded just before Y2K, and then immediately following Y2K, sold everything off or lost interest because that immediate fear was gone. I want to help you eliminate that fear. I want you to be empowered, and I want you to see, oh, this is about making my life better. The desire for preparedness is a deep down desire for taking back control of a person's life. It's something that's been done for really up until the last 100 years. It was just called common sense. It was 2-3 generations ago, our grandparents or our great grandparents keeping a full pantry. It was about digging a root cellar. It was about preserving food through the winter because you knew if you didn't, there wouldn't be enough there. So whatever you're here for, whatever thing has got you a little bit worked up, that's okay. We're going to dive in talking about water today. We're going to do a little introduction and water. Then next week, we're going to do food. Then we're going to do planning and documentation, and we're going to go on from there. Now, another thing is preparedness needs to be practical. So if you came here saying, oh my God, I just listened to Alex Jones or I just listened to CNN and they said the chances of a tsunami on the West Coast are astronomical, or a solar flare just might, I don't know, go off and burn up all of my electronics. Well, I think you might want to pivot your focus. Preparedness is all about the odds. So what you need to ask yourself first is, what is the most likely scenario that can hit you and your family? Things like a job loss, poor health, something local like a hurricane or a tornado, a wildfire, something that there's much more likelihood of that affecting you and yours. I mean, would the effects of some of the bigger fears be way worse? Sure. But the likelihood of those is a lot less slim. So if we want to look after our family, the best way to do it is to invest our time, money, and energy into the things that give us the best bang for our buck. And of course, that is to prepare for the most likely issues that us and our family will end up having to deal with. So what we're going to do first is we're going to concentrate on building up 1 week's worth of supplies. Reading up on the internet, it basically, from what I've read, the average North American has around 2 to 3 days worth of food on hand. To me, that just blows my mind. I don't even understand how that's possible to have such little food. But we're just going to work on having a week's worth of food and water, backup fuel, a way to power your house. We're going to talk about all this, and it's not going to be a whole house generator. It's not a whole bunch of things. You're going to be surprised at some of the stuff we can do for very little money. And that's what I want you to do. All of these preps are going to make your life better, whether whatever you're prepping for happens or doesn't. So if you are preparing for a job loss, if you're preparing for, not being able to take care of yourself because of health, well, having extra food on hand, having a well-stocked first aid kit, having extra water will only give you a little bit better peace of mind. And to me, there's not much better than that. It's also, now, something about prepping and preparedness, and this is where people maybe get off the rocker a little bit. When they first come to the idea of, I'd like to be prepared for my family, again, it comes out of fear. And then that fear plays on your brain, and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? Where do I go? How much stuff? I need this, I need that, I need a year's worth of food, I need 12,000 rounds of ammo, I need everything, I need all the things. And then what ends up happening is it creates stress. And then you get so stressed out that you're like, you know what? I got no interest. I'm just going to go back to burying my head in the sand and move on. Proper preparedness should relieve stress, not create it. So what we're looking at here is just taking care of the bare essentials and making small steps that don't cost a whole lot of money, that don't take a whole lot of energy, that will give you the biggest return. And it's going to relieve a lot of that anxiety that you maybe feel. And it gives you just a little bit of sense of control over your own life. We can't control the things we can't control, but there's a lot in our life that would go a lot better if we had just a few preparations on hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with a few small, easy wins to get started. We're just going to, okay, so let's talk about the water situation. So there's a bunch of ways we can do this. If you are a fan of Dollar Tree, well, Dollarama up here in Canada, there's so many things, right? But if you like going to those places, a lot of times what you're going to find are those 2.5 gallon jugs. They just look like a water bottle on steroids. And Dollar Tree tends to have them for about $1, or with inflation, $1.25 or whatever it happens to be now. So what our goal will be is figure out how many people you have in your house. So if you've got 4 people, you need 1 gallon per person per day, bare minimum. And that'll cover drinking, a Navy bath, a Navy shower, whatever you want to call it, and food preparation. If you have 1 gallon per person per day, so a family of 4 gallons, or we'll say 2.5 gallon jugs, just to give you a little extra. So you have that much on hand. For 7 days, you're going to need 28 to 30 gallons. So you're going to need about 12 2.5 gallon jugs, 12 of them. So for $12 at Dollar Tree, you can have enough water on hand at home to take care of your family for a whole week. Now, when we start thinking about it, when in your lifetime have you ever seen a disaster or a power outage or a water failure where you didn't have access to clean water for more than 7 days? So if you've got 7 days worth of water on hand already, first off, you're way ahead of the average American, the average Canadian, but also you now have enough water to look after your family for basically any disaster that you've experienced for the most part. And I'm going to get emails from people that are going to say, well, I was in hurricane such and such, and we were without water for 17 days. And I get that, I know. But again, remember, preparedness is all about the odds. So we are looking at dealing with the 95%, 95 to 99% of the time when we lose access to clean, fresh drinking water, it's going to be for 7 days or less. You can go crazy after that and prepare for a whole lot longer. But the whole mindset behind this is, hey, we're going to get out here and we're going to just start building up a surplus, a week. I want to have a week on hand so your family feels just a little bit better. Now, if $12 isn't necessarily in the budget, or you want to do this absolutely as cheap as possible, then go out there, ask your family, ask your friends. I mean, I don't recommend this necessarily, but I guess go around on garbage day when people put their redeemables out and collect yourself up a whole bunch of 2-liter pop bottles or juice bottles. And then bring them back, give them a washout, and maybe a little bit of bleach, let them dry, and then fill them full of water. You have tap water coming out of your tap at home. It may not be the best tasting, but it has been municipally treated so that you know, hey, there's nothing wrong with this. It's safe, clean drinking water. You put it in a pop bottle that's been properly sanitized, you're good for, I mean, honestly, you're probably good for 5 years or more, but keep it in a cool, dark place so the sunlight can't get to it. And if you feel better about it, rotate it once a year. Dump it out, use the water, put fresh water in there, sanitize your jugs, and then keep going. If it's factory sealed stuff from Dollar Tree, I would personally, if it's in a dark, cool place, would have no problem leaving it there for 5 years. The whole idea behind this is you want it to be as stress-free as possible. And not just stress-free, but you want it to eliminate stress as well. So you want it to eliminate the stress of knowing, what am I going to do if the water goes out? But also, you don't want to have to be like, okay, it's the third Tuesday of the month, and it's time for me to rotate 3 jugs of my water. I need to add 5 drops of bleach, dump 3 out, rotate 4, it needs to be dead simple. So fill up, 12 2.5-gallon jugs, 25 2-liter pop bottles. That will give you basically the amount of water that you need to get by. I hope I did my math right there. We need 28 gallons. Sorry. So 28 gallons, you would need around 50 to 60 2-liter jugs of water set aside, and then find some space for it. You need a nice dark space. So a closet, under a bed. The great thing about pop bottles is they are designed to hold, under pressure liquids. So like I said, once a year, do an inspection, see if any of your bottles are leaking. They probably won't be, but if they are, replace them. And that goes the same with your factory sealed water bottles. I mean, really, if in 2-3 years you wanted to open up those Dollar Tree bottles, drink the water, then refill them with tap water, that's all you need to do. And that's it. I mean, down the road, we can talk about 100 different things. If you want to, store rainwater, you want to, whatever, but find yourself a good spot of storage for it. Like I said, under a bed, but get creative. You don't want to be tripping over this stuff. You just want to set it aside and not have to worry about it, not have to look at it, not have to deal with it for the next, like I said, 6 months, a year. That's the idea. So this is the start. This is a series that we're going to do. They're going to be short, shareable content, stuff that I wish I knew when I first got started prepping. And I guarantee you, if you're out there listening to this as a seasoned preparedness individual, you'll probably learn something too, or you can share something. So leave it in the comments, send it to me through email. If you're new and this is brand new and one of your friends sent you this is going to be a 5-part series. We may do more down the road, but for right now, it's going to be a self-contained 5-part kind of vignette series. If you have questions, man, feel free to email me at therealtimcook@gmail.com and ask any questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. The only dumb question is the one you didn't ask. And there's no shame in making mistakes. The only shame is in not learning from those mistakes. So if you're interested in getting better at preparedness or just all around making sure your family is taken care of when you need it, when the stress, when the shit hits the fan, sorry guys, any of that, just do it, So next episode, we're going to talk about food. We're going to talk again about having a week to 2 weeks worth of food on hand. Then the episode after that, we're going to talk about planning and documentation. Again, the whole thrust of this series is to try to make things as easy and as inexpensive or even free as we can do. So you're going to see a pattern as we go along that you're going to be like, wow, I didn't realize that I can be this prepared for this little bit amount of money. And I'm not selling you anything, just so you know. There's none of this is me selling you. I'm just going to point you in the right direction and say, hey, go get water at Dollar Tree, go get canned food at Dollar Tree or Walmart or Costco or Sam's Club, whatever it happens to be. And then we'll talk about episode 3 will be planning and documentation. That's a complete free episode. Then we'll do first aid, and we will do backup power. And you're going to be surprised at how inexpensive you can do backup power too. But we'll talk about that again. So, guys, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.